After you create a test, the next step is to deploy it. First, navigate to the location where you want to add the test. Next, select Assessments to access the menu and then select Test. There are two options. The first one is to create a new test, and the second one is to add an existing test. Select the test you want to add and then select Submit. On the Test Options page, you can rename, give a description to the test, and choose to show the instructions to the students before they begin the test. You can also allow to restrict opening the test in a new window. Next, with the test availability, you can make the test link available to the students or not. And if you want a new announcement to go up for this test, you need to click Yes. For the students' attempts, you can choose if you want to allow students to have only a single attempt or multiple attempts. If you want them to have only one attempt, you must leave this choice unchecked. If you want them to be able to take it several times, you can allow unlimited attempts, or you can limit the number of attempts. You have options to score the attempts. You can have a last graded attempt as the highest grade, or it's standard you could do first or average of graded attempts. The next option is to force completion. We highly recommend to leave this next option unchecked, because if you check it and their internet connection goes out for even 1 second, it's going to submit it as auto-completed for that student. You can add a timer to the test to help keep students on track and focused. Select Self-Timer. Type a time limit. Turn on the Auto Submit to automatically save and submit a test when the time expires. If you don't turn on the Auto Submit, students have the option to continue after the time expires. Those tests are flagged as submitted after the timer expired. Then you can set displays after or displays until, which is the availability of the exam link in your course. You can also set the password option if you will ask the students to take the exam in class, for example. Now, the test availability exceptions are where you can make accommodations for a student or a group. For example, if a student needs extended time, you'll click on the Add User or Group. Then you will choose that student or group and hit Submit. You have different options to set, such as the number of attempts, the time, and the availability. Note that all of the options are reflected from the original test option. If you want to delete it, just click the red X, hit Delete, and say OK. After that, you can set the due date. This is the date the test is due. If you have this checked, do not allow students to start the test if the due date has already passed, as any students who attempt the test that is beyond the due date, the student will not be able to take the test. The next set of options you see are the self-assessment options. You can decide whether or not you want to score this test in the Grade Center, or if you want to hide the results of this test from you and the Grade Center. The next set of options lets you show the test results and feedback to your students. There are a lot of different times when you can give it to your students. You can have it after it's submitted. You can allow them to see it once it's on a specific date, after the due date, after the availability ends, or after attempts are graded. All of these have different purposes. Then you get to decide what it is that they will see when they see the score. It can show whether or not they got the answers correct, and you can decide what they've submitted, what is correct, or all the answers. Under feedback, you decide whether or not to allow it to the students to offer feedback. Additionally, you may choose to show incorrect questions so they know what they got wrong. The last set of options that you're going to get are the test presentation options. You can decide if you want your students to see their test presentation all at once or one at a time. In addition to this, you can do something called prohibiting backtracking, which means that the student can't go back to the previous question once they have submitted it. Also, you can choose to randomize the questions, which means that no two students will see their questions in the same order. When you're finished, select Submit. Students can now access the test, and the system automatically generates a grade center column for that new test.